guys, welcome to another thrilling episode of COVEN, the extreme metal podcast from Hanoi, Vietnam, for the extreme metal scene from Hanoi, Vietnam. My name is Imperial Cult. I am your host for today. I found the label House of Ygra, run the label, and also I play in Elcrost, a black metal band from Hanoi. And it's been a while since the last episode. I think if the schedule is going accordingly, this should be our, I think, 5th episode, maybe. Because there's actually a lot of episodes on the can that I'm editing, but it's taking a while. So, for the 5th episode, finally, we have a new face. We have new faces. They are the newest black metal band coming from Hanoi. They play black death metal in the style of blasphemy archgrowth, the first ever band in Vietnam to do so. And of course, I'm talking about my guest for today, Blood Serpent. Welcome to the show. Can you guys tell me more about your name and also your roles within the band?
Hi. So I'll start first. Thank you for having us here. My name is long. My real name is long, but But for Blood Serpent, I'm Nightgore, the acronym for Nocturnal Atrocious Destructor and Guardian of Ruins, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I play guitars and vocals and I do songwritings for the band.
And you?
Hi, I'm Frostbite from Blood Serpent, and this is actually my second time having an interview with the host, Imperial Cult. Yeah. My role within the band would be I play bass and drums, so kind of in charge of the rhythm section, and I'm also in charge of production and overall audio engineering, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, Blood Serpent, you guys just play your first show ever a few months ago, actually, on our first ever Scumfest event hosted by House of Ygra, supporting for Sport Pop Aroma, a grindcore band from Thailand. So, how was the experience?
The plan is to play with Frostbite at the first show, but then he has some schedule problems, so he couldn't fly back in Vietnam. So I had to recruit. We already recruited another session guitarist, which is Withonin, which is a prominent member of the label. So, but on the basis we had to find someone else, and we found Downfall from Dosanger. He seemed very enthusiastic, so we recruited him in, and Frostbite just sent him all the songs, and then we just rehearsed and play our first show. Since it was our first show, there was some inevitable mistakes. Like there are some technical mistakes as well, but I think we pulled through together, and I think the reception is fairly good. And it was pretty surreal to finally play something that I've been working for the last year to the Hanoi audience and also the guys from Smallpox Aroma. So it was a pleasure at least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also want to add, I was really nervous at the first because we cannot find a drummer, and we have to fix the situation by using a drum machine, and I was really nervous because I was not there and I was not entirely sure about the PA system at Hanoi Rock City. I was pretty afraid that it might not turn out well, but
I think in the I think the drummer is actually the best part.
yeah.
No mistakes.
No mistakes.
The PA from HRC was good enough for us. So I think it went well.
And they play really tight as well.
Yeah. For the meantime, we couldn't find a drummer, so that's like the common problem in the Hanoi scene. Yeah. So we had to use what we had at the time. So I think at least for a long while we will play with the drum machine.
Yeah. And I think that for these kind of band, right, where you guys play black and death metal, where it's very intense music, and the thoughts of playing without a drummer, I think it seems very frightened at first, where you guys feel like, oh, it's if you guys lose a live drummer, it loses the intensity of the live show, right? But I think as an audience on that day at Scumfest, I can still see that even without the drummer, you guys make up for the rest of the members, live members, where you guys play very intensely. Even with the look and even with the aesthetic, it is very true, very authentic, war metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have just talked about your first ever live performance in Hanoi. So leading up to the live performance, you guys play all the songs that is supposed to come out on your first ever albums, your debut album. And well, I will let you guys let the audience know. Can you guys tell them the titles of the albums, and can you tell us more about what the album is going to be about?
Yeah, so our upcoming album is called Bestial Extermination, and at our debut show we didn't actually play all the songs. We played like 5 songs from the album. So the album has like 7 main tracks. So we left out the other 2 songs for later. And this is the album that we have been working on for the last year, and this album is basically the celebration of death, destruction, and chaos. That's all I can say. And I don't want to go into the details of what the album actually means and everything, but the overall theme is the celebration of death and destruction and chaos.
A trained pair of ears will know when they hear it, so just let them discover for themselves.
Yeah. So I remember that when I watching you guys live, right? I myself listened to some war metal band, even though I didn't listen to them, I think, as religiously as you guys. But I try to listen to as much black metal as I can and try to get the vibe of certain type of music. And my favorite black metal, my favorite kind of war metal black death band is Archgoat. But of course, I think for you guys, the biggest influence it's not Archgoat, but it's a band called Angel Corpse. Is that correct?
I think so. In terms of the main influences, I would say we pull influences from bands like the Giants, Blasphemy, Black Butchery, Archgoat, and Angel Corpse, as you said, and Impiety.
Yeah.
So Angel Corpse is actually play an important part in parts of my guitar playing and songwriting. I mean, I'm not as we don't play as technical as Angel Corpse, but we try to encapsulate the chaos in the guitar riffs and the nuance, the churning guitar that the guitarist of Angel Corpse does. And I think that band really have a strong influence on me on how I play the guitar, as though we don't play as technical as them. But I think the churning guitar and the attitude of the guitar playing, I think I pull from Angel Corpse a lot.
Yeah, and in terms of production, we are also very much influenced by I would say newer black death metal bands. One of our prominent influences would be Profane Order.
Yeah.
It's a project by Illusory. He's from Spectral Wound, and this is one of his projects and this project focuses on black and death metal. And I would also say other influences would be Taste and Blood, right?
Yeah,
Taste and Blood for you. Yeah.
There are many contemporary bands from like the 2010s. A lot of them they sound very aggressive and sound huge because of really great production. I'm not saying it's not necessarily like clean production, but it's like very good and grand production, and we try to encapsulate that kind of sound in our music. So I think the overall album sounds quite huge actually.
And we didn't want the album to sound really too raw. So for example, you would see an example of Conqueror, Workhouse Supremacy. So you can see the ideas they have a lot of ideas which will turn into revenge later. Although they split bands, but we would not want our album to be that raw. We still want to our melodic side to shine out. Amidst of chaos and vortex of riffs. So we would want to tackle that direction.
I would say that the chaos is like something that you see on top of the iceberg when you listen to this kind of music. But I think the more important parts are the hooks, the riffs. Something that you can latch onto when you listen to the song, and it's basically like more the songwriting side. There's more than just pure chaos. And I think like Conqueror and Revenge, they are masters of those things.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are many bands that can replicate the kind of sound of that Conqueror and Revenge that laid the foundation of that.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't try to force ourselves to sound like them because it's particularly impossible to sound like what they did in the early 2000s and in the 90s.
Yeah, because I think I think it's like something that newer bands always try to do, but they just found out that even how much technical, like how much they use, the technical advancement, right? They cannot replicate that because it has nothing to do with the technical side. Because the band from the 90s sounds like they're from the 90s because they use the primitive gears that is available to them, right, in the 90s, whether it's black metal or death metal. It's the sound of the era, and no matter how much we try to replicate now with all the plugins, on even if we try to use all the equipment, to replicate that, it's impossible to do so because it's the sound of the time, and it's something that only exclusive for that time. Yeah. And one thing that I kind of want to touch on the album one last time is to the production, right? And I think what the album has done really well is, other than, of course, the songwritings, like I mentioned above, is the production of the production of the album, where it strikes a balance between being really clear and modern, but it's also retain the edge. Because I think that just some contemporary discussion, but lately Tetragrammaton just released their newest single. From they will release a new album, and Tetragrammaton is like a legend of the war metal scene, of war metal, and they are one of the leading band from the Kolkata Inner Order, the war metal scene from India. And it took me a while to get into Tetragrammaton because their sound is just so abrasive and so noisy. But I finally got into them through the compilation Third World Terrorism.
Exoterrorism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is it third word exoterrorism?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then finally they released a new single, and it sounds I don't know. When I first heard it, my first reaction is this sounds like it still sounds like Tetragrammaton, but it sounds like some modern death metal band. Honestly, because it has this kind of very sleek production to it, and I don't know how it makes me feel. I don't know. So I think that with Blood Serpent, I'm not saying that you guys. I don't want to compare you guys to Tetragrammaton, right? But I think that is also very pitfall that bands often walk into.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I would say that it's kind of a luck that in terms of production that Natgor and I we kind of have the same vision. So it's obvious that we still have something to compromise. So maybe he likes something more than I do, and some parts of the production that I might prefer this way more than his way. But we can still compromise in a very harmonious way. So we find a middle ground, and it works really well. And I think that would be the most important aspect in all of our decisions in terms of production. Yeah, and I would say about the Tetragrammaton part. I would say that you might be right because I don't want to say that it sounds like modern death metal, but I would understand if it sounds like a totally a different tonal shift.
Yeah.
Because I have heard and seen people even calling Tetragrammaton war noise.
Yeah.
So because it's too abrasive, it's nature. It's too abrasive and in a way very dissonant. that it's hard to get in. But yeah, I just want to.
Yeah, no. So, about single, I think it's pretty weird decision from them. I mean, compared with all things that they've did in the past, I would expect something at least rawer than the Russian single. I mean, the song is good. I really like the riffs and the stuff, but I think the clean and polished production, I think it took away some of the aggression in the songs. But we'll see how the full album turns out. Yeah.
So I think that's what I mean by saying that with black metal, sometimes it's not about songwriting. It's about songwriting, right? But sometimes it's also about the context that which it was recorded, right? Because same thing, the same situation that I can relate to Church on my side is the Religion Noir thing, where I've been a fan of lately, and I've been digging deep into like Mutilation discography, and the first two albums, the first album and then some of the previous demos was really cool because it's very weird black metal that is played very off time, and it sounds insane. But then when Mutilation came back in 2011 or 2012 and they released a bunch of new stuff, it sounds just bad because it sounds like black metal being done in 2010, but in Mutilation style. So it's just very generic kind of black metal stuff. And I don't know, I think it took away all the edge and all the mystery of Mutilation and a lot of LLM bands from those times.
Yeah, I think that's the charm of like the really early black metal, like many first wave bands in I would say from Brazil, let's say Sarcophago. I mean, they weren't very competent in playing their instrument at all at the time, but they still put out all the albums that become like legendary in black metal. Like let's like INRI for example. The playing is not tight. It's not exactly too tight. Yeah. But I think that's really what makes this very stand out, and many bands of those times stand out because of their desire to put out something and desire to play black metal, and I think not being too the playing not being too tight actually is what makes it really stand out and stood the test of time. Yeah.
And we also just noticed that with the new Sepultura re-record, right? Because Morbid Division and the first demo, and the EP after that.
I think the Bestial, which is actually one of the my inspiration for Bestial Extermination.
I remember that when I heard the re-recording, I was like, this is fine. It's like it's. I feel like personally, I feel like the Cavalera did it because just so they can have the rights back to those songs when they play those songs. But I think it's so unnecessary. But whatever. I mean, the old recording is still there, right?
Yeah, and some might even say that it's kind of a cash grab move because with that release they can finally go to tours and maybe sell merch again.
Yeah.
I personally think that at first impression it might sound really grand, but it actually sounds really plasticky and. I remember Immolation did a cover of one of the songs in Morbid Visions, and it sounds even better than the remake.
This is the last song for tonight. This is dedicated to the gods of bestial black metal, blasphemy, conqueror, beheaded, ashore. This is nuclear.
Like you guys say, the chaos in war metal is more like something on the iceberg, and I would say that I agree because for me personally, right, when I listen to this war metal band, what I like is they have the chaos, the chaotic part, which is like it's like kind of like the squeeze and release thing, right, where the chaotic part is like the part where it's very it's like a vice grip to your ears, but then they would do a melodic part or a part that is very groovy that latch on, and I think that's the part that I latch on when I listen to war metal, and I think that's something because I also have the opportunity to listen to your newest album, your debut album, Bestial Extermination, and that's something that I also really like. That you use this groovy or this tight pop very sparingly throughout all the songs, and yeah, I think that's what makes differentiate between like good war metal and like kind of like blasphemy rip off kind of war metal, right?
On that part of traditional war metal, I can offer an example of Beherit. So would say you would say they have their first album, Drawing on the Moon or something.
No,
Drawing
the
Down
first
the Moon.
album is
No, no,
the album.
the
Another moon.
no. I think there's a previous record.
The old
Yeah.
Black Blood.
Yeah, but
The old
that
Black
previous
Lord, yeah.
record, it's kind of blasphemy worship. You can see that, but on their next album in 1993, Drawing on the Moon, you can see that they still play war metal, but you can sense a very atmospheric nature of that album. You can see that it's almost like ritualistic and psychedelic type of war metal. It's very if you listen to it closely, you can see that it's something you can find in records of band like Profanatica or Von. They have that sense of very psychedelic riffs, and it's kind of catchy to you.
So on that matter, I think like when you say that bands like pure blasphemy worship, but I think that blasphemy also the master of grooves and hooks as well. I mean, so basically I started out listening to black death metal with Fallen Angel of Doom, and my first impression was like, what the fuck is this? Like I couldn't make out what I was listening to, but then over time I realized that when I listened to the album more closely, and also their second album, Gods of War, which I think one of the best albums of all time, and I realized that this guy is literally truly master of chaos, but also the hooks and riffs, especially by Color of the Storm. I think he's very a very prominent guitarist in the genre, and I think that they understand how these dynamics work, and it's not just just pure chaos. There are many new bands that which is not actually that good. They could just see the on the iceberg, the top on the top of the iceberg. So I think that so you say grooves, the hooks, and all of that. What you latch on, which is what makes you good war metal stands out from the rest.
Yeah.
And so I think that with war metal and a lot of other genres of black metal from the 90s, so black metals has always been about has always tried to portray themselves as like dangerous music, right? Even through their actions or through the imagery. And I think that through times those elements has aged quite badly. I think like nowadays when we look back at all the scandal at the 90s in Norway and all those kind of stories, we think that it's a bit edgy because they're like young kids trying to do this kind of shit, right? But I think that even till now, black metal still has retained its edge, even without this imagery, because through the sound. I think that a lot of people, when they listen to black metal, not just war metal, they often say that they often disregard them as just like a bunch of noise and a bunch of badly recorded music, right? But I think it's like a entry barrier where you have to go through, like get over those kind of sound quality and those chaotic elements to get through the essence of the music, right?
Yeah, and I also think that those kind of scandals through time, it did not portray black metal as something cool and edgy, but it's in contrast as something those kind of scandals portray black metal in a bad way, and they often make people and the fans of the genre overlook some of the most important aspects that form the genre. So it's not just the music itself, but it's the commitment and the activities around it. So forming records, circles, and trade tapes, merch, where you together, and you trade things with other scenes. A lot of, I would say, newer fans, they often overlook those kind of aspects, and they often see black metal as something very edgy, and they have to act cold, and they have to be separate from society in order to achieve true black metal. And I think that's really bullshit, because they did not understand the history, and they just want to show off. That's really bad.
Yeah, and I think that in the end of the day, it'll reflect through the music, because no matter how much you try to portray yourself, right? Even if you try to do this kind of music, if you can feel if the music is authentic or not throughout the way that the riff is being played or the production is being put onto the song, right?
Yeah.
Because you cannot just ban mixture music and say that because it's black metal. Because there is a deliberate way to do bad sounding, bad recording, so that it sounds evil and it sounds alienating, and there's a way to do it as an excuse.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't really care if other people give a shit about black metal or not, because technically I don't care about what the others what they think. That's not my problem. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. At the end of the day, it's simple as that. But I think what the essence of black metal is. I think the essence of black metal or black death metal is about genuinity. So I mean, it's about just living the truest of yourself, and it will reflect through your music as well. So you can listen to a record and you tell that somebody is genuine or not. I think that the attitude should be carried by all the bands that play in the genre.
So welcome back again. One thing that I want to ask you guys is that with war metal, of course it originated from different part of the world, and it in turn influenced different part of black metal worldwide. We have war metal from Finland is different, right? And then from regional scene from South America is also a bit different. Sorry. And for us in Southeast Asia, there is an interest in war metal or those kind of war metal aesthetic or adjacent bands, and we can see that through bands not in Vietnam, but bands that is in our neighboring countries. For example, in Singapore, they have Imperial and Imperial Cult, and of course a very infamous and very influential band in the 90s, which is Apora. And from Thailand, you also have bands like Sword of Divinities and Zygosis, and other bands from Philippines as well, like Defago. So, what makes you think is the appeal that kind of draw the interest of war metal to us in Southeast Asia, and also are you guys also influenced by this band that is from our neighboring country as well?
Well, there's a very interesting mindset that I've read in an interview. There's this band, Sri Lankan band. It's called Genocide Shrines, and there's this artist from that band. His name is, I think it's C Trident, and he has this very interesting analysis. So he sees the sound and the appearance of war metal in Asia and Southeast Asia as it's shaped by the Third World War chaos and the environment that these countries are living in, and that kind of sound they're having is the embodiment of that.
Yeah.
And he also state that the war metal in Southeast Asia, it's not to be generalized to war metal all over the world, because they still have this kind of traditional skills. So in terms of songwriting, or at least for him, I think they have this kind of traditional skills, and that could differentiate war metal in Southeast Asia from other countries. And he also said himself that he is a big fan of folk music, Sri Lankan folklore, and classical Hindu music. But he believes that the only way that he can convey his message all over the world is by the way of using black and death metal, because he believed that it's a limitless possibility of discovering a lot of aspects all over the world, not even dark ones and not so dark ones, that makes black and death metal different and special to him. So I think that's a very that could be a special mindset, and that could explain the appeal of war metal in Asia and Southeast Asia.
All right, so about what you said, I think the appeal to extreme music in Southeast Asia has always been prevalent. I think in many not just South Asian bands, like many third world countries, bands from third world countries, they tend to be I noticed it, they tend to be more extreme than they're not in, like, let's say, like European kind of style. Because I think one of the puzzle plays into the history, and the first is the history, and the second is the geographical structure of this region. So the people from this country, especially South Asian countries, they've been through a lot. We all know all of the colonialism and stuff. I think that they tend to be more angry. That so I think that's partly why there are many really good extreme music that spawned from South Asia. For example, the blue death metal scene, like tons of blue death metals, especially from in Indonesia. War metal has always been in South Asia since the 90s, with bands like you said, Imperial and Infernal Accelerator, those kind of bands, and the second part is that the geographical structure, it makes the weather much more unbearable. I think that makes people more aggressive, more just a lot angrier. That's why the music tends to be more primitive, and I would say like it's very hateful in black, at least in black metal of South Asia.
And I would offer a sonic example of Impiety. So you can see that they play this kind of really fast black and death metal. So for example, like the album Chaos Command 666, you can see that the playing is 696. Sorry. You can see that they play this kind of very fast, but you can hear that it's very raw, it's very primitive, and I would say the guitar, it's very sharp. It's like a total assault to your ears, and I think the as Natgor said, a lot of aspects that affects the tone choice and the overall production, not just the songwriting itself.
I think those bands, very influenced by old school death metal, like Morbid Angels and bands like Morbid Angels. You can hear those influence in Piety. It's like a blackened version of Morbid Angels. So there's very, very, very close to like Angel Cult, like very technical but very aggressive. And yeah, in Piety, they are actually one of the first bands that I really enjoy when I first listened to black metal, and they play a huge influence in our music as well.
Yeah, like your point in these band being influenced by death metal band, like those kind of first wave, second wave death metal band, right? It's kind of we both are like fans of Justin Hovel. He's like the guy from Headbangers Ball, and he has like a YouTube channel, and he did a bunch of interviews with different death metal guy. And I think that throughout all this interview, he always tried to get this answer from them, like what is black metal. And I think that he for him, right, he always do that because he wants these people, these guys, that is very influenced in black or death, like like the guys from Manslaughter or Paul Ledney from Fanatica. He always asked them this question, and for them they always answer death metal is black metal, like, or black metal is death metal. and the bands that is black metal to them is not mayhem, or they always actually discard the second wave band. They always consider black metal to them is incantation or like early incantation, right? Or deicide or possess and propanatica.
Yeah, because I think they live in a generation where not everything is labeled and categorized. An example is that Alex books of immolation. He once posted this kind of I would not say a survey, but like a post. He asked if repulsion, how do we observe repulsion? Is it death metal, or is it grindcore, or is it death grind? And he said that all the people from his generation who listened to immolation and the music from the 90s, they always see repulsion as death metal. There's nothing grindcore about it, and and there's a lot of discussion, but I think it's a very interesting case of how people from previous generation might have another input on how music is categorized.
Yeah, I think that's cool. That's cool actually, because those time there wasn't very clear definition of black metal and death metal is. It's just like very extreme music playing extremely fast and and real aggressive. And I think the input is absolutely correct. They can consider death metal and black metal the same thing. I mean, during those times, that can be considered the same thing. I think like war metal is the essence of it is basically the combination of death metal and very early black metal, like first wave black metal, and some elements of grindcore, which makes like war metal is like the combination of all the extreme metal genre combined together, and to make the most aggressive music as possible. And
and I also think that's some of the reason why bands like Sarcophago and Celtic Frost are massive influences of war metal, because I think you already know, but Sarcophago, the style they play, it's never strictly war metal. It's the same with Celtic Frost. It's like a combination of a lot of styles: death, thrash, black. So the same with Possess, but it's kind of that brutality and the attitude that makes people like it, and war metal fans and successors, they like it and turn it into the forms of war metal that we are currently listening to at this moment.
Yeah, I think like that genre spawned from those very early black death thrash metal bands in the 80s, in the late 80s and 90s. Things like Possess, Sodom, Sarcophago, Volcano. Those bands really spawned the genre of black death metal. And I think the first, I think that the first war metal album that ever came out, I think it's Blasphemy, Blood Upon the Altars. The first demos. I think that actually the milestone that actually defined what war metal is, and it took influence from all those bands and create something, and it created the masterpiece we know, like Blood Upon the Altars.
And I also think that war metal it's like a combination of a lot of aspects, even aesthetic, especially the red, white, black aesthetic artwork that we often discuss, that play a vital role as well in the development of the genre.
So we'll talk about the albums, and we'll talk about war metals around the world, and I think that it's time that we talk a bit about you guys. So with Frostbite, we have got to know your taste and your background through the interview session with Lacotomy. And I quite want to talk more to Nightfall. So do you remember what's like the first black metal band or black metal albums that impressed you? And specifically, also, what's like the first war metal albums that impressed you as well?
First black metal album is In the Night Eclipse for me. It was my first exposure to black metal. I mean, I started out. I wasn't really into the manly stuff back when I started, but yeah, and I think Emperor is a great band until now. The first two albums are are masterpieces. So Emperor International Eclipse was the first exposure to black metal, and then I branched out, listened to a bunch of other. You can say that the weak shit, the weak shit, the things like Over and melodic black metal. But those albums play really important part for me in my music career with Elcrost. Those early bands really plays a huge influence for me.
Yeah.
And I remember that when I was, just looking for black metal to listen to, I was listening to the early first wave bands like Hellhammer or Hellhammer Venom and Master Hammers. Yeah, the Master Hammer bands is it's a first wave band from Czech, by the way. And I stumbled when I just look into those bands. I stumbled into Blasphemy, Fallen Angel of Doom, and when I listened to it, like I said, I was really dumbfounded by how it sounded, because there was nothing and there was nothing like that I have heard before. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't really into that at first. But then when I started listening to other bands in that style. So I remember Ashot being a band that really impressed me, and I listened to a lot of Ashot. I listened to the whole discographies in like a week, and it was and it is still now my one of my most favorite black metal band. And for the Fallen Angel of Doom, I went back, listened to it, and like I said, I discovered some new nuances. And even now, when I re-listen to that album again, I still find the new things that I can latch onto. And now, Fallen Angel of Doom is probably the most important album, one of the most important albums for me in my musical growth as a musician. Yeah.
So you said that you listen to Ashcore discography in a week. What would you say is your favorite Ashcore album?
The Apocalyptic Triumphator. I think it's the third or the second.
Yeah.
I'm not quite remember. But yeah, the album is full of great catchy songs and great riffs. And Ashcore, really the masters of the slow and groovy section, with very I would say the melodic riffs, but it's not exactly like melodic. Yeah. But they have grooves and they are melody, and Angel Slayer vocals, so that's insane. But that's a given in any Ashcore album. Yeah. But yeah, Apocalyptic Triumphator is my favorite. Comes after is the Luciferian Crown. Yeah. And Halls of Bethlehem, just the three albums I come back to the most. Yeah.
But I mean, you can make the case for all Ashcore albums because
yes,
they're
very consistent. They're very consistent.
Disappeared for 10 years, but then they came back with Halls of Bethlehem, and then they've been on the tear since then.
Yeah, they just continue pump out new albums, and I think that they are one of the most consistent bands in extreme metal nowadays. Yeah. Extreme, and considering their the age, and their maturity in their career, I don't think they will ever put out a bad album.
Yeah, and it's also amazing that they also Ashcore is a long-running band. They also came from the same time, or I think a bit later than Barrett, but they also came from the early '90s,
Yeah,
war metal
early-
scene, right?
I
But-
think that
Yeah.
early 90s.
And but the fact that we already see blasphemy nowadays, and they don't have to prove anything else, but they release they have their golden years, and
Yeah.
same thing you could say with Beharit, but of course Beharit have this kind of sense of diminishing return with each records, and I cannot fault nuclear holocaust.
Vengeance.
Yeah, because he likes to those kind of electronic stuff.
I think
And-
he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
I think he's into electronic. I follow his Instagram, and he's also into like skating. He did a lot of skating, and I think he's a very cool musician. I noticed that although he doesn't really make metal anymore, aside from the Underground album in 2010 or something. He still go to black metal shows and supporting bands. So I think this is very very cool to do that. Although now he's completely switched to the electronic side of the music spectrum.
And of course Ashko's still going on.
Yeah, Ashko's
Over
is
there.
very
Still
consistent.
going on.
Still disaggregating all the shows. You saw Ashko's, you know.
How was it?
Yeah, it was really great. The two brothers, they look massive, and their guitars are also massive, and the vocals, he has this natural reverb thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but when he rolls, it's like the whole stage, it's like full of his vocals, and it's like you're in a cave. It sounds really grand, very inhumane, I would say.
Yeah. And you both had experience with metal show. Of course, you just mentioned that you've seen Ashko, but and for us, so
Yeah, we do
what-
play in Elcrost.
No. So I think we haven't introduced yet, but so you also play in Elcrost with me, and we play like melodic black metal, which is got nothing to do with war metal.
I think it's just the other side
Yeah.
of the same coin.
But when we tour Thailand this year, a few months ago, one of the bands from the show is a war metal band, Nocturnal Damnation. Yeah, and it's also your first live experience watching a war metal band, right?
yeah. It's insane, I think that, black metal or war metal just bring out the animal inside inside a person, and I was really impressed by with the bands, all the performances.
Yeah.
They're all great, and they're great guys as well. They're really cool guys.
Yeah. Because they are consist of, I would say, veterans from the Thailand scene. Most of them have been playing black metal or extreme metal in Thailand for like a long time.
Yeah. But I think only J-Ho is the only original member left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
checked.
okay.
I checked, and so it started as a two-piece black metal bands, and the other guy is the main songwriter, but he did all the songwriting for the first album, but I think he left the bands for some reason, and J-Ho has to recruit other members for the later releases of them.
Nice. So, as we're winding down now, what would you guys say are your top 3 war metal or black death metal release?
You want to go first?
I would say the first one would be Titan Blood Death in 2014. Titan Blood was actually my first war metal band. My first album, the first album that I ever listened from this genre was Horror Mass. I think it was released in 2009, and it's like a out of world experience because it's not just only war metal, but they still have a lot of ambient,
Very atmospheric.
atmospheric, yeah,
Very
very ritualistic. It sounds like you're in a cathedral, and in Death you can see that there are also massive groups. There's this song called I think it's called Place of Forgiveness, where they have this really really roofy riffs at the end. It sounds really fucking cool, really catchy, and that's a release I really like. I would say the second release is actually pretty new. It's Profane Order, A Nightmare Unto Another. I like it because it affects me. It really influenced me on my production and mixing with Blood Serpent. And I also think that Illusory and Alcatraz, they are master groups at this moment. Their songs, I would say,
It's very catchy.
yeah, very catchy, very groovy. Like, for example, a song called A Somber Passage. They have really groovy parts to support their, chaotic moments. And the third one would be, I would say, there are a lot, but I think Angel Corpse Exterminate. It's like, for that album, it's like a very demonic offspring of Morbid Angel and Marduk. Yeah, very speedy, very fast rhythm section, and there are riffs that you can see. It's like it's straight off from Covenant. Yeah.
I think that's also my first reaction when I listen to Angel Corpse. Is that I feel like it's like a death metal version of Marduk, where it's also have the intensity that Marduk has in the first, not first few album, but the albums from Nightwing onwards, those kind of album, right? So yeah,
I really like the drums of Angel Corpse. It's like always blast beat, but I know, but it's very there's also a lot of nuances in the drumming. Also, it's very intense blast beats. So in grooves and things, all the drummers of Angel Corpse are just geniuses.
Yeah. It's also in the production. Also, I noticed that all Angel Corpse albums, the drums is mixed a little low in the mix, and it's not it's not very prominent. So it's kind of a raw production. But if you listen to drums, you can hear that that kind of production makes it like really fast, and all the fills, the snare fills, the tom fills, it feels like a flam pattern, but it still sounds really aggressive and primitive, and that makes it like even more fast.
Yeah. And speaking about Marduk, have you guys checked on the new Marduk album?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the Funeral Mix album?
Yes. Funeral Mist album,
Yes,
yeah.
Hikatum 2.
But I was about to ask, also, are you guys also big on Marduk? Because I also listen to some kind of Marduk elements on your music. I think in some song there's this kind of very relentless Panzer Division Marduk kind of riff to it. So
and it's kind of fast and churning power chords guitars.
Yeah.
And I think I just subconsciously took on that. I didn't really listen to much Marduk when I was writing for Bestial Extermination. But I think those elements translate into
music.
Our songs. All right.
And for you, your top three.
So like I said, Punch of Doom, my first and probably the most important album. So for me, that influenced me and my band. Second is Ashgold, the Apocalyptic Triumphants. Because actually, when I listened to the album, I've decided it's time to write something on my own, and I just started writing and trying to I was trying to copy Ashgold, like those grooves and all of that, but I didn't think it went too well, so I just took some of the elements and bring it into our music instead of doing a copy paste, since I don't want to do that. And the third album, I think, is also Profane Order, but the first album, Profane Order, Slave Morality. That's actually the album that really inspires me to. So here's the thing: when we started this band, it didn't call Blood Serpent back then, but I wrote like 2 demos for it, and I left it for like 6 to 9 months, I think. And then when I listened to Profane Order, Slave Morality, I was like, holy fuck! I was totally blown away, like how grand it sound and how groovy it is, and it is actually the album that inspired me to continue the project. And then in the following like 1 or 2 months, we focused on writing, and we focused on writing on Bestial Extermination, and then it was a very, very fast process actually. And the Slave Morality album plays a huge part of why I'm I'm doing this.
Yes.
It's still one of the best black death metal album I ever heard. Actually.
Nice. Well, as we start to wind down now, so Blood Serpent. Do you guys have any plans for the future? And do you guys have any last departing words for the listener?
Yeah. So we are doing an interview with a a sign called what is it called, propaganda.
Yeah, I forget to.
Yeah,
but it's from Germany.
It's from Germany.
Yeah.
They are really cool guys.
Yeah.
They did interviews with a lot of underground bands and also many bigger underground bands like Caveman Cult or something. And we're also doing a compilation with them where it's like a tribute to Bestial black metal kind of thing, where smaller bands will do covers of songs, and they also feature like bigger bands like Profanatica and Empire in the compilation as well. So we are looking forward to that. Since we are working on a cover song for that compilation, and for the future, I think we just focus on playing more shows and get more new audiences. We haven't written anything new yet, but we should expect it in the near future. Something new from us, probably a demo or an EP or something.
Yeah. So, guys, remember, Blood Serpent, Bestial Exterminations, coming out this year to House of Ygra. And well, thank you guys for being here with me today. Any last words?
No, not really. I'm kind of blank right now.
All right.
But
Alright.
yeah, we're gonna put out an album soon enough. So keep an eye on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening. We are very glad to have in this interview, and I have some final words to say. So a year ago, I remember that you and me. Well, we didn't talk, right? But we didn't talk about this. But not that we didn't talk, but we kind of decide mutually, without even speaking to each other, that we're gonna take like a year break from Elcrost. From writing music. It's not just that we decide to take a break, but we just decide that maybe it's time for us to focus on something else for a while. And
I mean, we're all busy.
yeah, we're all busy. So I decided to just produce for local bands, right? I did the production for the Rod album and then the Lobotomy album after.
Yeah.
And then and then I quickly saw that you are working on your new projects, and which later turned out to be Blood Serpent. And after a year, and finally see you guys play your first show at Stunfest, and I was very happy that the effort that we spent individually for that year kind of work out in the end.
Yeah.
And see
Absolutely.
how it became.
Really cool.
So yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we didn't waste no time.
Yeah, we didn't waste any time.
We use our time very efficiently for our projects.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's good.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks, Blood Serpent, and remember to bring all your black coats. Thank you.